Hello, good afternoon. I am David Lebna. Welcome back to the channel. Summer is finally here in Stockholm, Sweden. The sun is blazing hot right now, and I'm right in the middle of transplanting my tomato seedlings into their big pots. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm going to show you how I do it when I transplant it. I'm also going to go through a couple of things that I think are very important to know if you want to grow tomatoes in big pots like this, like I am. So let's get right back into it. So the first thing you want to keep in mind when you're growing tomatoes in containers is that you find some nice big pots. This one is 10 liters or 11 liters, and I wouldn't really go smaller than this because they grow very big and need a lot of space to grow in. And also, you want to make sure that the pot has drainage holes, because you can't have water sitting in the bottom of the pot because the roots will rot and the tomatoes won't really do well at all. So this one didn't have holes when I bought it, so I had to make some own holes, but always make sure your pots have good drainage. And tomatoes are heavy feeders. They want a lot of fertilizer, so you want to make sure you use a soil that is well fertilized. I'm using the same soil that you saw me making a couple of videos ago, but if you don't want to go through all of that, you can just buy regular potting soil and it will be good enough for you. But as I said, they're very heavy feeders, so what I do, I like to fill up the bottom third of the pot with soil, like this. I know you can't see how much I put in, but it's 1/3 of the pot. This is what it looks like. And then to this bottom part, I will add some extra fertilizer. And this is a slow releasing fertilizer. I'll just add like a tablespoon. I'm guessing most of you guys watching these are beginner farmers or beginner gardeners, so I wouldn't really get too tied up in what fertilizers to use. The one thing you do want to look out for though is that the fertilizer that you get is represented by nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Normally on a package you will see that it says NPK and in different values, so you can see either 10-10-10 or 4-6-2 or 5-5-5, something like that. And those are the macronutrients that your plants really need. So as soon as you see that the fertilizers have those macronutrients, I wouldn't really get too worried about the numbers. So that's slow releasing fertilizer. I would also get a liquid fertilizer because the liquid fertilizers, the plant's roots can absorb right away. The slow releasing fertilizer, they will last for longer in the soil, but it will take a longer time to start to release. That's why I add it like this towards the bottom, because once the roots reaches down here, it will have a little bit of extra food to yum on. And also to this bottom part, I add some calcium because tomatoes can get a condition called blossom end rot. And that is when you see towards the bottom, underneath the tomato, you will see that it will turn brown and it will kind of go inwards. And that is, as I said, a condition called blossom end rot. And tomatoes can get it very, very easily. Chilies can get it as well, but not as easily as a tomato. So that's why I always add a little bit of extra calcium just to make sure. Not last year, but a year before that, I did have some plants that got blossom end rot. And if your tomatoes get that, you can't really eat those tomatoes. You have to throw them away. Right, so something like that. Just mix it up nicely. And you fill it up with some more soil on top of this. Today's hot, today's warm. We're gonna go by the lake when I finish this work. Maybe I'll go for a swim. We'll see. I hope so. I really hope so. All right, so this goes inside here like this. And if there's one thing that I know a lot of people do know about tomatoes is that you're supposed to plant it deep because the whole stem can actually grow roots. Right, so I'm gonna take this one here. I already planted some tomatoes, but I still have a couple left. So these tomatoes, as you may know if you watched my earlier videos, are pretty old. These are months old. And I was a bit eager this year. I did plant them a little bit too early. So they kind of outgrew these pots a long time ago. But what I want to do, I want to loosen up the roots a little bit. Because since they've been stuck in these pots for so long, I don't want them to get root bound. So just loosen it up a little bit like that. You don't have to do this if your tomatoes are still small, like about this size here. You can just plant it straight into the pot, but I think this helps a lot. So I loosen it up like that, the root bulb, and then make a little hole, make sure you have space. You'll try it out if it fits. I think that's deep enough. And as you see, I plant about 10 centimeters down into the soil. And then you fill it up. Just like that. And it can be a problem actually when your tomatoes are starting to grow flowers already, like this one is. Because it's not supposed to do that yet really. It's supposed to get a little bit bigger, I think, before it starts to grow flowers. Because these will get huge. These plants will get taller than me. So I fill it up like this. And I want to leave a little bit of space towards the top because we are going to mulch this as well. And you mulch it because you don't want the water to evaporate so quick, because like I said, they're very heavy feeders, but they also drink a lot of water. So you're gonna have to water these every other day, even though you plant them in the big pots. So the mulch is to retain the water even further into the pot. Right, so fill it up like that. And then I'm gonna move over here. So one question that I get a lot when it comes to farming and gardening overall is how much to water the plants. And it's a little bit different when it comes to different crops, but most plants, especially like tomatoes and chilies, I tend to wait until I can tell by the leaves that it needs water before I water it again. Some people say that you should never let a tomato plant dry out completely, but in my experience, I have this theory, I think I mentioned it before, if not I'm mentioning it now, that the roots are always looking for water. So if you spoil the plant, if you spoil the soil and water it too much, like you go and water it every other day, the roots won't really have to grow bigger because it will always have water close by. So once you let the plant dry out a little bit, the roots will grow deeper and it will grow bigger. And you always want a root system that is as big as possible, because the more roots the plants have, the more nutrients it can absorb and the more water it can absorb in it, and the healthier it will be, the more fruit it will bear. That's the theory I have, and that works for me. So if you want to try out that method, don't spoil the plant. Water it really, really good, like soak it, and then wait until you can see that the leaves are wilting a little bit. That's what I would do. That's how I do it. And also every other 2 weeks, so every 14 days, I would use the liquid fertilizer that I have when I water them. So I will know that the plant always has the nutrients that it needs, because those fertilizers, the liquid fertilizers, are fast releasing, so the roots can access those nutrients right away, so it doesn't have to wait for it to break down. So that's why I use that as well. Because as I said, tomato plants are heavy feeders, so you want to give them enough nutrients. Another thing that I know that a lot of people know when it comes to tomatoes is that you remove the suckers. And suckers are the little branches that grow in between already existing branches. And those will actually turn into like new plants. So you could remove them and put them in some water and you have like a clone of your plant. You can also leave like one at the top, so it will grow like a Y on top, and you can get more fruit like that. I tend to not do that because I find that they grow too big. The space that I'm growing on is already small, so I try to always remove the suckers. Sometimes, you might leave one, but it's fine. So all you have to do is just take your nails or a knife or whatever tool you have and just remove them. And you want to do this when you see them, because they will take energy from the plant. You always want the plant to focus on bearing fruit, if that's what you want, and that is what you want, right? So as I said, I left a little bit of space at the top here, so that's where we're going to put the mulch. And that's the last thing I'm going to do today before we finish this video. I'm just going to get the bag from over here. Right. So this is what this looks like. This is like just to put on top. And the only reason I put this on is, like I said, it becomes like a cover, like a lid for the soil. So you put it in like this. I like to fill it up. So this will keep the moisture in the soil, because you don't want to water these more than you have, because you're gonna have to water them. Sometimes, now I just got a hose, which I can connect to the kitchen tap, which makes everything a lot easier, because before I used to run back and forth with one 2-liter container and a 5-liter container, and just run back and forth, and it's a lot of water, especially if you have a lot of tomatoes like this. So that's it. That's how you repot a tomato, get it prepared to its last lap. This is the crucial time, because this is when it's supposed to grow flowers and then bear fruit, and for you to enjoy in your salads now in the summertime. So quick recap, perhaps. Use big pots. Make sure they have drainage holes in them. Make sure you have some calcium in your soil, because you can get blossom end rot. Make sure you add a little bit of extra nutrients, the slow releasing fertilizer, and also don't water often, but water a lot when you water, and let it dry out completely before you water it again. And add something on top, like mulch, to retain the water in the soil, and remove the suckers. If you follow those steps, you should definitely get at least a couple of tomatoes. That's the thing when you grow in a place like me, when the growing season is kind of short. It's like you want to get one shot each year, because you don't have time to grow it again with most things. So that's a little guide from me to you, just trying to share everything I know when it comes to growing tomatoes in big containers like this on a balcony or on a porch in this climate. So yeah, that's everything for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned a couple of new things. If you did, let me know in the comments below. If something wasn't clear in my explanations, don't hesitate to ask me. So yeah, don't be shy, send me a message, and subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video. Until next time, take care of yourself, take care of your garden, eat healthy, stay well, and I'll see you again soon. Yeah, bye.